Lessons from Alexander Hamilton for today. Among the great architects of the American nation, few left a legacy as lasting and controversial as Alexander Hamilton. Born in the West Indies and orphaned at 11, this man of humble origins would become the first Secretary of the Treasury of the United States and one of the key figures in shaping the financial system that still underpins the world's largest economy today. Hamilton was not just a politician. He was a visionary who understood that ideas, when well structured and executed with determination, can transform entire societies. His lessons transcend centuries and remain extraordinarily relevant for anyone looking to grow personally, build something meaningful, or lead in uncertain times. Lesson 1. Education as a tool for transformation. Hamilton deeply believed that knowledge was the only force capable of breaking social and economic barriers. Even as a poor orphan, he devoured books, wrote brilliant essays, and never stopped studying. To him, education was not a luxury, but an urgent necessity for anyone who wanted to change their life. Modern application. We live in the information age, where knowledge has never been more accessible. Hamilton teaches us that your background doesn't matter. What matters is your hunger to learn. Today, you can access elite university courses for free online, read about any subject in seconds, and connect with experts worldwide. The practical takeaway is simple. Dedicate at least 1 hour a day to intentional learning. Whether it's reading about your professional field, picking up a new skill, or studying history and philosophy to broaden your perspective, Hamilton transformed his life through books. You can do the same through the internet, podcasts, online courses, and virtual mentorship. But Hamilton also teaches us something deeper about education. It must be purposeful and strategic. He didn't study just for the sake of studying. Every book he read, every essay he wrote served a clear goal in building the competencies he needed. Today, this means creating a structured personal development plan. Identify the 3 most important skills for where you want to be in 5 years: leadership, data analysis, global communication, or entrepreneurship, and build a personalized curriculum that blends theory and practice. Read essential books, but also seek out real-world projects to apply what you learn. Hamilton learned about finance not just by reading Adam Smith, but by working as an assistant to merchants. This mix of academic knowledge and hands-on experience is what made him exceptional. Lesson 2. The courage to stand by your convictions. Hamilton was never afraid to be unpopular if he believed he was right. He defended a strong federal government when that was controversial, proposed a national banking system when many saw it as a betrayal of Republican ideals, and always argued from principles, not political convenience. Modern application. In an age of social media, where the pressure to agree with the majority is intense, Hamilton's intellectual courage is more necessary than ever. This doesn't mean being stubborn or arrogant. It means having the bravery to express well-founded ideas, even when they're unpopular. Practically, this means do your research before forming opinions, be willing to change your mind when faced with better evidence, but don't abandon your convictions just to fit in. In the workplace, this could mean proposing innovative solutions even when your colleagues prefer the status quo, or standing up for ethical standards even if it costs short-term relationships. Hamilton also teaches us that intellectual courage requires meticulous preparation. He never entered a debate without being fully prepared, knowing not just his own arguments, but the counterarguments he would face. So before defending a major position, whether in a work meeting, a family discussion, or a public debate, you should do your homework thoroughly. Study every angle, anticipate objections, and prepare well-grounded responses. Hamilton often wrote detailed outlines before his most important speeches. Today, that might mean creating structured presentations, gathering solid data, or practicing your arguments with friends ahead of big moments. Courage without preparation is recklessness, but preparation without courage is wasted. Lesson 3. The importance of clear and persuasive writing. Hamilton was one of the most prolific writers of his time. He authored most of the Federalist Papers, documents still studied today as examples of brilliant political reasoning. For him, The ability to communicate complex ideas clearly and convincingly was fundamental to influence and leadership. Modern application. In today's digital world, writing is even more critical. Your emails, social media posts, reports, and presentations are your personal brand. Hamilton teaches us that investing in writing skills is investing in your ability to influence and lead. Practically, this means write every day, even if it's just a paragraph in a journal. Read excellent authors to absorb different styles. Always revise your texts before sending. Hamilton obsessively edited his writing. Learn to structure arguments logically: thesis, evidence, counterarguments, conclusion. In the workplace, be the person who can turn complex ideas into clear, actionable proposals. Hamilton's method for writing was systematic and can be applied in any context today. He always began by clearly defining his goal. What exactly did he want the reader to think, feel, or do after reading? Then he organized his ideas in a logical sequence, leading naturally to the desired conclusion. Hamilton also wrote with his audience in mind. The Federalist Papers were aimed at farmers and merchants, not scholars, so he used practical examples and accessible language. Today, that means tailoring your communication style to your audience. An email to your boss should have a different tone and structure than a LinkedIn post or an investor pitch. Plus, Hamilton always included a clear call to action. He didn't just inform. He directed the reader toward a specific decision or behavior. Lesson 4. A long-term vision over immediate gratification. When Hamilton proposed that the federal government assume state debts, many saw it as financial insanity. But Hamilton was thinking decades ahead. He knew that establishing financial credibility would be crucial for the nation's future growth. He always prioritized long-term benefit over short-term popularity. Modern application. In a culture obsessed with instant results, Hamilton's strategic patience is revolutionary. He teaches us that the most important decisions rarely yield immediate rewards, but instead lead to deep transformations over time. In personal life, this means investing in genuine relationships rather than superficial networking, saving and investing consistently instead of chasing get-rich-quick schemes, and developing core skills instead of hopping from one trend to another. In your career, it means building a reputation through consistent excellence, not shallow self-promotion. Hamilton understood the concept of compound interest not just financially, but in all areas of life. He knew that small, consistent actions repeated over time create exponential results. As a young man, he wrote weekly letters to mentors, even when he received no reply. That persistence eventually opened life-changing doors. Today, that means staying in regular contact with your professional network, even when you don't need anything. It means contributing to your emergency fund regularly, even in small amounts. It means practicing an important skill for 30 minutes daily, even when the results aren't immediately visible. Hamilton shows us that greatness doesn't come from isolated grand gestures, but from the discipline of doing the right things consistently, especially when no one is watching. The compounding effect of daily excellence is what separates true leaders from the moderately ambitious. Lesson 5. The art of turning opposition into opportunity. Hamilton faced fierce opposition throughout his career. Thomas Jefferson considered him dangerous. Many saw him as elitist, and he constantly had to defend his ideas against personal attacks. But he used opposition as fuel to refine his arguments and strengthen his positions. Modern application. Criticism and conflict are inevitable in any journey of growth. Hamilton teaches us that opposition, when managed well, can be our greatest teacher. Every criticism is a chance to examine our ideas. Every conflict is an opportunity to practice diplomacy and negotiation. Practically, this means listen to your critics with an open mind, even when it hurts. Ask yourself what part of the criticism might be valid. Use feedback to improve, not to get defensive. When someone disagrees with you, see it as a chance to understand a different perspective and possibly discover an even better solution. Hamilton developed what we might call a criticism processing protocol that remains incredibly useful today. First, he always waited 24 hours before responding to major criticism, to avoid emotional reactions that could damage relationships. Second, He systematically separated criticism of ideas from attacks on character. Third, he actively looked for the core truth in every critique, even the most hostile. Hamilton believed even political enemies sometimes held valuable insights hidden within their attacks. Today, this means creating your own system for processing feedback. Write down the criticism, identify the specific points raised, separate facts from opinions, and then develop a concrete action plan to address the valid issues. Hamilton often thanked even hostile critics when they helped him spot weaknesses in his arguments. This intellectual humility was essential to his continued growth. Lesson 6. The power of strategic collaboration. Despite his differences with figures like Jefferson and Madison, Hamilton knew when collaboration was essential. He formed strategic alliances, negotiated important compromises, and always kept the greater goal in mind, even when it meant yielding on smaller issues. Modern application. In today's hyperconnected world, no meaningful success happens in isolation. Hamilton teaches us that collaboration isn't about agreeing on everything. It's about finding common ground to achieve greater goals. That means, identify people whose skills complement yours, not just those who think like you. Be willing to compromise on small matters to win big ones. Build relationships before you need them. In the workplace, that could mean forming cross-department partnerships, mentoring junior colleagues, or collaborating with competitors on projects that benefit the whole industry. Hamilton was a master of what we now call goal-driven strategic collaboration. He carefully mapped out the interests of each person involved in a negotiation and sought win-win structures where everyone could achieve their primary objectives, even if they had to give up some secondary ones. A classic example was the Compromise of 1790, where Hamilton secured approval for his financial plan in exchange for supporting the relocation of the federal capital to the South. Today, that translates to, before any major negotiation, map out the real interests, not just stated positions, of all parties involved. Identify where interests overlap and where real conflicts lie. Then develop proposals that maximize overlap and minimize conflict. Hamilton also nurtured relationships during peaceful times so he could rely on them in times of crisis. That means checking in regularly with colleagues, partners, and mentors, offering help before asking for it, and always taking a long-term view of important professional relationships. The practical legacy of Hamilton. Alexander Hamilton died at age 49 in a duel, but his ideas live on more than 2 centuries later. The financial system he created still supports the American economy. The principles of government he defended still shape democratic institutions around the world. Perhaps Hamilton's greatest lesson is this: it doesn't matter where you come from, it matters where you're going. It doesn't matter how many obstacles you face, it matters how you turn them into stepping stones. It doesn't matter how many people doubt your ideas, it matters how well you execute them. Hamilton teaches us that greatness is no accident. It's the result of clear vision, relentless effort, intellectual courage, and the determination to build something bigger than ourselves. In every decision we make, every word we write, every relationship we build, we have the opportunity to apply these timeless lessons. So today, as you face your own challenges, whether building a career, starting a business, or simply trying to grow as a person, remember the orphan from the West Indies who refused to accept the limits the world tried to place on him. Remember that your current circumstances do not determine your future destiny. Hamilton's legacy isn't just in history books. It's in the possibility of transformation that lives inside each of us.